Hello friends. When we talk about Taurus in the realm of passion and intimacy, we're stepping into a world that feels less like a passing moment and more like a carefully orchestrated symphony. Taurus is not the sign of impulsive flames that burn bright and die fast. Instead, it's the sign of slow-building heat, deep sensuality, and unwavering loyalty. But what does this mean in the bedroom, in relationships, and in their approach to love? Let's dive into a 7-part journey that paints the true portrait of Taurus when it comes to sex, intimacy, and compatibility. The sensual nature of Taurus. Imagine, for a moment, a lover who doesn't just lean in for a kiss but turns it into an entire journey, as though each touch of the lips is a universe in itself. That's Taurus. They don't approach intimacy with hurried urgency. They approach it as though time doesn't exist, as though every second is meant to be savored like a fine wine opening up its bouquet of flavors. The Taurus kiss isn't simply a kiss, it's a pause in the world, a complete surrender to sensation, and it's here that we begin to understand what makes their sensual nature so unforgettable. Taurus is ruled by Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and pleasure, which means every encounter is more than just physical, it's artistic, emotional, and deeply grounded in the body. Unlike signs that chase novelty or fiery bursts of passion, Taurus thrives in the slow rhythm of indulgence. They're not in a rush to arrive anywhere, because for them, the journey is the destination. Every look, every caress, every sigh becomes part of an unfolding ritual that feels deliberate and sacred. Touch is at the very core of Taurus's erotic identity. They are tactile beings who crave physical closeness the way others crave air or water. They want to feel the curve of a shoulder, the warmth of skin pressed against theirs, the softness of hair slipping through their fingers. For Taurus, intimacy doesn't exist without contact. A hand on the small of the back, a lingering stroke along the arm, a gentle squeeze in the middle of conversation. These small gestures are their language of desire, each one quietly building anticipation long before the bedroom is even reached. And then there's their appreciation for setting. Taurus doesn't separate the environment from the act itself. In their eyes, atmosphere is foreplay. They thrive in surroundings that engage all 5 senses. Picture a dimly lit room bathed in candlelight, the faint notes of music weaving softly through the air, sheets that feel impossibly smooth against bare skin, and the delicate scent of roses or sandalwood filling the space. These aren't minor details, they are essential ingredients. To Taurus, a rushed moment in a sterile setting feels incomplete, even unsettling. They want intimacy to feel like stepping into a sanctuary, a private world where time slows and every sensation is amplified. Patience is their superpower. While others may see foreplay as a prelude, Taurus treats it like the main event. They believe in the slow build, the kind of anticipation that makes your heart race not from speed, but from depth. Their movements are deliberate, their rhythm steady, their attention unwavering. They are the gardeners of intimacy, cultivating connection moment by moment, never rushing the bloom. This patience means that with Taurus, nothing feels mechanical. Every kiss, every sigh, every movement carries intention, as though they are sculpting pleasure into something lasting and profound. This is why people rarely forget a Taurus lover. They may not be the flashiest or the most experimental, but what they create is unforgettable because it's felt on every level, physical, emotional, even spiritual. They have a way of grounding you, making you feel as though the rest of the world has disappeared, and all that exists is the warmth of their body and the safety of their embrace. In a world that often feels rushed and distracted, Taurus offers the gift of presence. Another unique quality of Taurus is their devotion to making their partner feel valued. They don't simply take pleasure, they give it with generosity. They want to know what makes you melt, what textures, touches, and rhythms unlock your deepest desires. And when they find those keys, they don't just use them, they refine them, returning to them again and again until they've perfected the art of pleasing you. This reliability, this devotion to mastery, makes their intimacy feel not just satisfying, but deeply personal. Of course, indulgence is part of their nature too. A Taurus can get lost in sensory pleasure like someone losing themselves in a feast. They love the taste of lips, the smell of skin, the softness of blankets, the sound of whispered words in the dark. For them, sex is not a single sense turned on. It's all five senses fully engaged, woven together into an experience that leaves both them and their partner intoxicated. They want to linger in every taste, every sound, every texture, until the memory imprints itself permanently. And this is their magic. While others may see intimacy as an outlet or an escape, Taurus transforms it into a grounding force. With them, sex isn't an interruption of life, it is life distilled into its purest form. It's about connection, comfort, pleasure, and devotion all at once. Being with Taurus feels like being enveloped in a cocoon of warmth, desire, and security. So when we talk about the sensual nature of Taurus, we're not talking about wild storms or fleeting sparks. We're talking about a fire that glows steadily, that warms your skin and your soul, that refuses to be rushed and in turn teaches you the beauty of slowing down. We're talking about lips that linger, hands that know, and eyes that never look away. We're talking about a love so grounded in the body that it leaves echoes long after the moment has ended. That is Taurus, indulgent, tactile, patient, and endlessly unforgettable. And now, a little side note. If you'd like to support the channel, there's a thanks button right under this video, or through the donation alerts link in the description. Your support truly helps me keep creating. And of course, if you enjoy the content, please leave a like and subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. Thank you so much for being here. Now, let's continue. Stability over adventure. When you think of Taurus in the intimate realm, the phrase, stability over adventure, sums up a philosophy that is not just about sex but about their entire way of living and loving. Taurus is not the kind of lover who seeks out thrill after thrill or who chases novelty for the sake of excitement. Instead, they look for something far more enduring: security, consistency, and a sense of emotional and physical safety. For them, intimacy is not a roller coaster ride filled with sudden turns and adrenaline jolts. It's more like a timeless landscape, a river that keeps flowing steadily through the years, nourishing everything in its path. This doesn't mean they lack passion or creativity, far from it. What it means is that Taurus has no interest in the shallow fireworks of temporary indulgence. They know that flames which burn too quickly tend to fade. Their passion is more like glowing embers, warm, reliable, and long-lasting. When they find a way of expressing intimacy that feels good to them and their partner, they don't feel the need to abandon it for the sake of trying something new. Instead, they refine it, polish it, and master it until it becomes something exquisite. Imagine a musician practicing one piece of music over and over, not because they cannot play another but because they want to transform that single melody into something transcendent. That is Taurus with sex. They want to perfect what they know and deliver it with consistency every time. Some people may interpret this as predictability, and for lovers who crave chaos, spontaneity, or constant experimentation, Taurus may indeed feel like a quiet harbor when they want crashing waves. But for those who understand the value of stability, Taurus is a dream come true. They don't disappear suddenly, they don't play manipulative games, they don't offer passion one night and coldness the next. Instead, they are the partner who shows up again and again with steady warmth, with familiar touch, with an intimacy that feels like home. Their loyalty ensures that once they've committed, they are fully present, not half in, half out, not wavering. That steadiness creates a foundation where trust can flourish, where vulnerability can be safely shared, and where sex becomes not just an act but a bond reinforced with each encounter. Taurus's approach to intimacy can be compared to the deep rhythm of nature itself. Think of the way the seasons change, not suddenly, but gradually, predictably, with patterns you can rely on. That's how Taurus gives themselves. Their rhythm may not surprise you with sudden storms, but it nourishes you with reliability. Their passion is like fertile soil that grows richer over time, providing sustenance long after flashy, short-lived flames have burned out elsewhere. In the bedroom, this translates into a steady, unhurried energy that feels grounding. They may not push boundaries every night or chase the exotic for the sake of novelty, but they pour their entire being into what they do. They bring presence, attentiveness, and mastery to each intimate moment. Their consistency allows their partner to relax, to feel desired without doubt, to surrender to the safety of knowing that they are cared for every single time. And that security is, in its own way, incredibly erotic. Because when you know your partner won't disappear, won't betray, won't suddenly turn cold, you can open yourself more fully, and the intimacy becomes deeper, richer, and more rewarding. This consistency doesn't mean boredom. On the contrary, Taurus often surprises their lovers not with constant reinvention but with how much intensity they can bring to the familiar. A kiss from Taurus never loses its weight. A touch doesn't become routine because they infuse it with sincerity and devotion every time. They remind their partner that repetition doesn't mean emptiness. It can mean refinement, depth, and the comfort of knowing that you will always be held in the same tender, passionate way. But it is true that not everyone can handle this. For lovers who crave unpredictability or chaos, Taurus's rhythm may feel too calm, too repetitive. These individuals may call Taurus boring, mistaking steadiness for lack of passion. What they don't realize is that Taurus's steadiness is the very source of their power. Unlike fleeting excitement, Taurus builds something lasting, something that grows richer with time. Their passion isn't a spark that fades in the night. It's a fire that keeps burning, providing warmth day after day. And therein lies the quiet strength of Taurus. They may not be the lover who shocks you with wild experiments, but they will be the lover who makes you feel safe enough to explore vulnerability without fear. They will be the lover who, years later, still touches you in a way that makes your heart race, not because it's new, but because it's deeply familiar and profoundly reliable. They show us that in a world obsessed with adventure, there is extraordinary beauty in stability. And when that stability comes with passion, loyalty, and consistency, it becomes the kind of intimacy that not only satisfies in the moment but nourishes for a lifetime. Taurus in the realm of intimacy is not about constant novelty. It's about trust, mastery, and emotional depth. They prove that stability is not the absence of adventure but a different kind of adventure altogether. The adventure of building something real, something enduring, something that feels like home. In their steady embrace, in their quiet strength, in their refusal to rush or abandon, Taurus gives us one of the greatest erotic gifts possible: the chance to feel safe, cherished, and deeply desired over and over again, without end. The romantic builder. What if I told you that for Taurus, sex does not begin when the lights go out or when clothes hit the floor, but in the smallest gestures, long before the bedroom is even considered? For them, intimacy starts with presence, with the way they notice you across the table, the way they remember your favorite meal and cook it with care, the way they slip their hand into yours during a walk without even thinking about it. It's the quiet layering of these small, thoughtful actions that builds the foundation for everything that follows. Taurus is, at their core, a romantic builder. They don't rush intimacy, they construct it, brick by brick, moment by moment, with patience and tenderness until what they've created is not a fling, not a spark, but an unshakable structure of connection. This building process begins with comfort. Taurus knows that intimacy cannot thrive where there is tension or insecurity. So they set the stage not just physically, but emotionally. They want you to feel safe, grounded, and at ease in their presence. They know that the most passionate encounters are born not from adrenaline but from trust. That's why for them, everything counts. The shared glass of wine, the laughter over an inside joke, the softness of a blanket pulled around two people on a chilly evening. Every detail matters because every detail contributes to the sense of closeness they are cultivating. This is why foreplay isn't just an accessory to Taurus, it is the heart of the experience. They understand instinctively that desire builds over time, that anticipation can be more powerful than the act itself. For Taurus, foreplay is not simply physical, it's emotional and sensory. It's in the way they rub your shoulders after a long day, the way they look at you with an intensity that says, "You are the only person here," the way they create rituals of connection, cooking together, slow dancing in the living room, or sharing long, unhurried conversations that deepen the emotional bond. These are not diversions, these are essential steps in the architecture of their intimacy. Their seduction is not dramatic or flamboyant, it is subtle, patient, and deeply sincere. They don't overwhelm you with grand gestures but instead make you feel wanted through consistency. Their courtship is slow, deliberate, and full of tenderness. This isn't the kind of romance that burns out quickly, it's the kind that grows steadily, gaining strength with every moment shared. To be loved by a Taurus is to be gently drawn into a space where you no longer question whether you are desired. You know it, because every action they take affirms it. Once that trust is established, once their partner feels secure in both body and spirit, Taurus opens the door to a deeper, more refined pleasure. In that space, their lovemaking transforms into something raw yet elegant, physical yet profoundly emotional. Because the foundation has already been built, they can bring a level of intensity and openness that feels liberating rather than overwhelming. They create not just a sexual connection but a sanctuary where vulnerability becomes strength and pleasure becomes an expression of devotion. Think of Taurus as the architect of intimacy. They design not only the physical encounter but also the emotional structure that supports it. Every gesture is part of the plan. The candlelit dinner isn't just about food, it's about setting the mood. The slow massage isn't just about muscles, it's about showing care and devotion. The hours of gentle cuddling aren't just about comfort, they're about reinforcing the message: you are safe here, you are loved here, you belong here. And this approach doesn't only make the sexual experience richer, it makes it unforgettable. Because while others may dazzle with flashy moves or quick thrills, Taurus builds something lasting. Their love and their intimacy don't evaporate with the dawn. They linger in your memory like the scent of flowers carried on the wind. You remember the way they made you feel: calm, seen, desired, and cherished. You remember the atmosphere they created, the careful steps they took to make you feel at home in their arms. That's the secret of the romantic builder. They understand that passion without foundation crumbles, but passion built on stability endures. With Taurus, every kiss is a continuation of a story that began hours or even days earlier. Every touch carries the weight of 1,000 unspoken reassurances. Every moment feels deliberate, intentional, and deeply rooted in love. So when we talk about Taurus as the romantic builder, we're talking about a lover who doesn't just show up for the act itself but who invests in every stage leading up to it. We're talking about someone who crafts intimacy like an artist crafts a masterpiece, carefully, patiently, and with a devotion that makes the final creation all the more breathtaking. With Taurus, you don't just experience sex, you experience a romance that is constructed, nurtured, and perfected, one loving gesture at a time. Best compatibility for friendship and sexual energy. When it comes to understanding Taurus in relationships, both in friendship and in intimacy, it's essential to recognize that not every sign can truly match their depth, their patience, or their love of steady connection. Taurus doesn't rush, they invest. They don't scatter their energy across shallow bonds, they commit deeply and with quiet loyalty. And because of that, not everyone can step into their orbit and thrive. But when the right matches do appear, the chemistry can be nothing short of extraordinary. Fellow Earth signs are often the first natural allies for Taurus. Virgo, with their meticulous eye for detail and quiet devotion, provides a kind of companionship that Taurus finds deeply comforting. Virgo notices the little things, like when Taurus changes their tone of voice or needs space for silence, and in return, Taurus provides Virgo with a safe harbor of patience and reliability. Together, they create a relationship rooted in trust and respect. Sexually, this pairing thrives not because it's filled with chaos or flamboyance but because both signs understand the beauty of rhythm, of touch, of steady passion that grows stronger the more it is nurtured. Virgo's thoughtfulness blends perfectly with Taurus's sensuality, and each partner feels seen and cared for in a profound way. Capricorn, on the other hand, offers a kind of strength that Taurus can both respect and lean on. Capricorn's ambition and discipline meet Taurus's persistence and loyalty, and together they form a union that feels unbreakable. In friendship, this pair often becomes the rock that others rely on, the dependable duo who can weather storms together. In intimacy, Capricorn awakens Taurus's sensual nature by providing structure and focus, while Taurus softens Capricorn's seriousness with warmth and tenderness. This combination creates a relationship where both parties feel they've found someone who will not only stand beside them but will also hold them when the world feels too heavy. The respect between these two earth signs makes the sexual connection steady, strong, and deeply satisfying. But perhaps the most legendary compatibility for Taurus is Scorpio. This is not an easy bond, but it is one that is unforgettable. Astrologically, they are opposites. Taurus is fixed earth, steady and grounded, while Scorpio is fixed water, intense and transformative. When these two collide, the chemistry is electric, almost volcanic. Scorpio's raw, emotional intensity ignites Taurus's sensual patience, creating a sexual energy that is magnetic and consuming. Taurus brings stability to Scorpio's storms, while Scorpio draws Taurus deeper into emotional and erotic realms they might not have explored otherwise. Together, they form a balance of fire and water, calm and chaos, restraint and passion. Their connection isn't always smooth, both are stubborn, both are deeply possessive, but when they work through their challenges, the result is a love that is fierce, powerful, and impossible to forget. Pisces also holds a unique place in Taurus's heart. Where Taurus is grounded and practical, Pisces is dreamy and fluid. The two may seem different on the surface, but their energies complement each other beautifully. Pisces offers imagination, spiritual depth, and emotional vulnerability, while Taurus provides the stability and security that Pisces craves. In friendship, this pairing feels gentle and nurturing. Pisces inspires Taurus to dream, while Taurus anchors Pisces to reality. In intimacy, the connection is tender and romantic, almost otherworldly. Pisces loves to lose themselves in fantasy, and Taurus provides the safe foundation that allows those fantasies to flourish. Together, they create a sexual bond that is both delicate and profound, where stability meets dreaminess, and each lover feels supported in their truest form. What makes these signs particularly compatible with Taurus is not just sexual chemistry but a deeper alignment of values. Taurus craves loyalty, devotion, and a sense of safety in relationships, and each of these matches, Virgo, Capricorn, Scorpio, and Pisces, brings those qualities in different ways. Virgo offers attention and devotion. Capricorn provides strength and consistency. Scorpio delivers passion and depth. Pisces offers emotional richness and imagination. Each of these connections shows Taurus a different shade of intimacy, but all of them share the common thread of trust, loyalty, and emotional security that Taurus needs to fully bloom. So when we talk about best compatibility for Taurus in both friendship and sexual energy, we are talking about connections that don't just skim the surface but dig deep roots. We are talking about relationships where Taurus can relax into their true nature, patient, steady, sensual, and loyal, without fear of instability or betrayal. In these bonds, Taurus doesn't just find passion, they find a mirror, a partner, and a safe place to pour their boundless sensuality. And that is why these unions, once formed, often endure for a lifetime. The challenges, signs that clash. Not every relationship with Taurus is destined to feel harmonious, no matter how patient, sensual, or devoted the bull may be. Some zodiac pairings carry with them an underlying friction that can't be ignored, because the values, needs, and natural rhythms of life simply don't align. For Taurus, two particular signs tend to stir up the greatest storms: Aquarius and Leo. These relationships aren't impossible, but they are often riddled with misunderstandings, tension, and the kind of stubborn deadlocks that make progress difficult. Let's begin with Aquarius. On the surface, there's an allure here. Taurus admires Aquarius's originality, their free spirit, and their curious mind. But when these two come together, the differences soon become glaring. Aquarius thrives on unpredictability, change, and mental exploration. They're fascinated by the future, always chasing what's new, what's revolutionary, what lies outside the box. Taurus, by contrast, finds comfort in tradition, stability, and the security of the known. To Aquarius, Taurus can seem slow, resistant to change, and too tethered to the material world. To Taurus, Aquarius can appear detached, restless, and emotionally unreliable. This difference in core values can become a battleground. Aquarius wants movement, Taurus wants stillness. Aquarius wants ideas, Taurus wants touch. For Taurus, love is rooted in the body, in physical closeness, in the here and now. For Aquarius, love can be cerebral, experimental, even detached at times. When Taurus reaches for a hand to hold, Aquarius may already be reaching for the next adventure or disappearing into the world of thoughts. This imbalance can leave Taurus feeling abandoned, unappreciated, or simply confused by Aquarius's need for constant novelty. Meanwhile, Aquarius may grow frustrated with Taurus's insistence on routine and their refusal to embrace change. If there is to be harmony here, it requires immense patience on Taurus's part to loosen their grip, and enormous grounding on Aquarius's part to reassure Taurus of their loyalty. Without those adjustments, the relationship often feels like two people standing on opposite banks of a river, shouting across the water, never quite able to meet in the middle. Then there is Leo, a clash of two fixed signs, each as stubborn as the other. Taurus is fixed earth, solid, steady, unmoving. Leo is fixed fire, passionate, radiant, and demanding of attention. When they come together, the attraction is undeniable. Leo is charmed by Taurus's sensual nature and unwavering loyalty, while Taurus is dazzled by Leo's charisma and warmth. But soon, sparks can turn into fires that are harder to control. Both signs have strong wills, and neither likes to bend. For Taurus, compromise feels like giving up the stability they've built. For Leo, compromise feels like giving up the spotlight they believe they deserve. And when two immovable forces collide, the result is often stalemate rather than harmony. Taurus seeks quiet sensual depth, intimacy that grows in the slow unfolding of touch and trust. Leo craves admiration, drama, and a constant supply of excitement. Leo wants to be adored openly, flamboyantly, and often. Taurus is happy to love deeply, but they express it through subtle gestures, small acts of devotion, and quiet constancy. To Leo, that constancy can feel too quiet, too understated, even dull. To Taurus, Leo's need for constant performance and recognition can feel exhausting and unnecessary. These mismatched needs can spiral into arguments where Taurus digs in their heels and Leo roars louder, each demanding that the other bend first. And yet, these clashes don't mean the relationships are doomed. In fact, some Taurus-Aquarius or Taurus-Leo connections do survive, and when they do, it's because both parties are willing to meet halfway. With Aquarius, Taurus has to allow for freedom, to trust without holding too tightly, and to appreciate the excitement that unpredictability can bring. Aquarius, in turn, must learn to slow down, to value stability, and to understand that security does not mean stagnation. With Leo, Taurus must recognize the value of admiration and generosity in love, while Leo must come to respect the quiet devotion that Taurus offers, even if it's not loud or flashy. But the truth is, it takes patience, enormous patience. Taurus has to be willing to let go of some control, and that doesn't come easily. Aquarius has to be willing to stay present, and that doesn't come naturally. Leo has to accept that the world doesn't revolve around them, and Taurus has to accept that sometimes, compromise is not weakness but love. When those adjustments are made, the relationships can move past the clash of egos and values. But without them, Taurus often finds themselves frustrated, drained, and yearning for the peace that feels absent in these pairings. In the end, Taurus's challenges with Aquarius and Leo highlight an important truth: not every attraction is meant to lead to harmony. Some connections are meant to teach, to challenge, to push both people outside their comfort zones. With Aquarius, Taurus learns flexibility. With Leo, Taurus learns humility and the value of generosity in love. Whether these lessons end in lasting partnership or in fiery endings, they shape Taurus into a more resilient, more self-aware version of themselves. And though the clashes can be exhausting, they also remind Taurus of their true needs: stability, loyalty, and sensual depth, and the importance of seeking partners who can honor those needs fully. The shadow side of Taurus in sex. Every zodiac sign carries with it not only gifts and strengths but also shadows, the hidden corners where challenges dwell, the traits that, if left unchecked, can cause friction rather than harmony. Taurus, so often admired for their sensuality, loyalty, and patience, is no exception. The very qualities that make them such unforgettable lovers can, when distorted, become their pitfalls. And in the realm of sex and intimacy, these shadows emerge in subtle yet powerful ways that must be acknowledged if we want to understand Taurus in their entirety. At the heart of Taurus's shadow is their need for stability. Stability is their comfort, their safe place, their foundation. It's what makes them devoted partners and reliable lovers. But when this need becomes excessive, it can twist into possessiveness. Taurus is a fixed earth sign, and fixed energy means attachment. Once they decide that someone is theirs, they hold on tightly, sometimes too tightly. In the bedroom, this can translate into jealousy, a fear that their partner's attention or affection might wander elsewhere. They want to protect what they love, but this instinct, when unchecked, becomes a cage rather than a sanctuary. Their fear of losing what they've built can create pressure, making their partner feel trapped rather than cherished. This possessiveness can also lead to resistance to change. Taurus is not known for their love of experimentation when it comes to sex. They prefer to stick with what works. While their consistency is a gift in many ways, it can also stifle growth. They may resist trying something new out of fear that it might disrupt the comfort they've so carefully constructed. "Why fix what isn't broken?" becomes their motto. But over time, a refusal to adapt or explore can leave their partner feeling stifled, craving variety that Taurus is hesitant to offer. What begins as stability can slowly calcify into stubbornness, creating walls instead of bridges. Then there is their tendency toward indulgence. Ruled by Venus, the planet of pleasure and beauty, Taurus is naturally drawn to physical enjoyment. They love rich foods, luxurious settings, and the tactile pleasures of intimacy. But in their shadow side, this love of indulgence can become dependency. They may lean too heavily on routine comforts, whether that means always returning to the same sexual patterns, relying on physical intimacy to soothe emotional wounds, or becoming attached to the sensory trappings of sex rather than the deeper connection behind it. Pleasure is beautiful, but when Taurus leans into it without balance, it risks becoming gluttony, a kind of emotional overfeeding that never truly satisfies. In some cases, their sensuality can even lead them into a trap of laziness. Because they so enjoy comfort, Taurus may sometimes resist putting in the extra effort needed to keep intimacy alive and dynamic. They can fall into the mindset of, if it's good enough, why push further? And while this doesn't mean they stop caring about their partner, it can leave the relationship feeling stagnant, as though the richness of their love has been left to coast rather than grow. Jealousy, indulgence, resistance to change, these are the shadows of Taurus in sex. And yet, even here, there is something redeeming. Because at the core of Taurus's shadow lies something very human: fear. Fear of loss, fear of instability, fear of being left without the comforts that bring them peace. And what softens these shadows, what gives Taurus the ability to heal, is their unwavering loyalty. Even when they are at their most stubborn, most indulgent, or most possessive, Taurus remains deeply devoted to the people they love. Their loyalty buys time, buys space, buys opportunity for growth. Unlike other signs that might flee when things get difficult, Taurus tends to stay. They weather storms, they endure, and they give their relationships the chance to repair themselves. Their shadow is, in many ways, the flip side of their strength. The same deep-rooted desire for stability that can lead to jealousy is also what makes them so dependable. The same attachment to comfort that can tip into indulgence is what makes them masters of sensuality. The same stubbornness that resists change is also the perseverance that keeps their relationships alive through hard times. The key, of course, is balance. Taurus must learn to loosen their grip, to trust that love doesn't disappear simply because they don't control it. They must remember that indulgence is sweeter when it doesn't become excess, that routine can be a foundation but should never be a cage. They must learn to see experimentation not as a threat but as a new way to deepen their already rich intimacy. And when they do, their shadows transform, not into something to be feared, but into lessons that make their love all the more powerful. So yes, Taurus has a shadow side in sex. They can be jealous, possessive, indulgent, and resistant to change. But they are also loyal, devoted, and steadfast, even when those shadows appear. And it is this loyalty, this refusal to give up, that often gives their relationships the room to breathe, evolve, and heal. In their shadows, as in their light, Taurus remains one thing above all: committed. And that commitment, even when flawed, is the very thing that can turn their shadows into strength. The true gift of Taurus in intimacy. At the end of the day, after we've explored their sensuality, their stability, their shadows, and their challenges, there remains one truth about Taurus that rises above everything else. They give a kind of intimacy that cannot be easily compared, replaced, or forgotten. Taurus is not the fleeting flame that dazzles you for a moment and then fades into ash. They are the hearth fire that warms your bones, the flame that never flickers out, the presence you can return to over and over again. Their true gift in intimacy is not about flash, spectacle, or restless novelty. It is about grounding pleasure in something enduring, something timeless, something that stays with you long after the touch has ended. With Taurus, sex isn't just a physical act, and it isn't just about gratification. It is about memory, about permanence, about creating an imprint that lingers in the heart, the body, and the spirit. They understand that intimacy is more than a rush of passion, it is a bond. They are not content with encounters that end with the dawn. They want intimacy that echoes for weeks, months, years. To love Taurus is to discover that the greatest gift is not the wildness of adventure but the quiet strength of connection, the kind that deepens with time. Their secret lies in presence. In a world that constantly rushes, where lovers are distracted, hurried, and split between screens and obligations, Taurus offers the rare gift of undivided attention. When they are with you, they are fully with you. Every look carries intention, every touch feels deliberate, not careless. Every kiss lingers just a little longer than expected, as though they are reminding you, this moment matters, you matter, this connection matters. Being with Taurus is to feel chosen, wholly and without hesitation. And in that presence lies their magic. Think of the countless people who experience love and sex in fragments, never quite feeling held, never quite feeling seen. Taurus changes that. Their gift is the ability to ground you so deeply in the moment that you forget everything else. The worries, the noise, the world outside, it all fades. What remains is the heat of their body against yours, the steadiness of their hands, the unspoken reassurance that they are not just here for tonight but for as long as you'll have them. They remind you that intimacy doesn't need to be rushed, that pleasure is richer when it unfolds slowly, like honey dripping from a spoon, thick, golden, irresistible. And here's what makes them unforgettable. They don't just make you feel desired, they make you feel cherished. There is a difference. Desire is hunger, an impulse, a craving. Cherishment is devotion, care, and reverence. Taurus gives both. They will look at you not as someone to be consumed and discarded but as someone to be treasured, someone worth every ounce of patience and tenderness they pour into their intimacy. That is why their partners often carry their memory for years, because Taurus doesn't just touch your skin, they touch your soul. Even their shadows, their possessiveness, their indulgence, are rooted in this deeper truth. They care so deeply, so stubbornly, that letting go feels impossible. And while this can create challenges, it also underscores their greatest strength, their unwavering devotion. Unlike lovers who drift in and out of lives, Taurus stays, holds on, builds, and nurtures. Their intimacy is not a transaction, it is a promise. And promises, when kept, transform into legacies. The true gift of Taurus in intimacy is also a lesson to everyone else. They show us that in the endless pursuit of novelty, we sometimes overlook the profound beauty of what is steady, grounded, and real. They teach us that passion doesn't have to be a storm. It can be a slow, steady rain that nourishes everything it touches. They teach us that being present, truly present, is rarer and more erotic than any flashy display. They remind us that love, when rooted in loyalty and presence, can last far beyond the fire of first attraction. To be loved by Taurus is to experience intimacy as both an anchor and a fire. They ground you, hold you, and make you feel safe, but at the same time, they ignite something that burns quietly within, a flame that refuses to go out. You may forget the wild adventures, the chaotic lovers, the restless flames, but you never forget Taurus, because they leave you with something more than an experience. They leave you with a sense of being valued, seen, and held in a way that time cannot erase. So, what is the true gift of Taurus in intimacy? It is the reminder that sometimes the slowest burn is the one that lasts forever. It is the ability to transform touch into memory, presence into devotion, sex into love. It is the rare and extraordinary talent of making you feel not just wanted for a night, but cherished for a lifetime. So if you've ever wondered what it feels like to be loved, desired, and truly seen in the most sensual way, Taurus might just be the sign you've been waiting for. To understand the magic of Taurus is to understand a love that is not hurried, not careless, not half-given. It is a love that roots itself in the soil of patience, waters itself with devotion, and blossoms into something unforgettable. Taurus is not the lover who disappears at sunrise, leaving only questions and fragments behind. They are the one who stays, who lingers, who builds an entire sanctuary around intimacy so that you feel safe, wanted, and wholly adored. Being with Taurus is not a passing thrill, it is an experience that imprints itself onto your body and soul, a memory that lives on long after the moment has ended. To be loved by Taurus is to feel presence like you've never felt it before. When they look at you, their gaze doesn't dart away, distracted by a dozen other things. Their attention locks onto you as if the rest of the world has gone silent. When they touch you, their hands are steady, deliberate, and meaningful, as though each caress carries a promise. There is no rush in their rhythm. There is no haste in their affection. With Taurus, every gesture is intentional, every movement is an act of devotion, every kiss is a slow unfolding of care. They remind you that intimacy is not just about the body, it is about being truly seen, recognized, and cherished in every fiber of your being. Unlike lovers who chase novelty, who live for adrenaline and change, Taurus thrives on creating constancy. They want to know you deeply, to learn your rhythms, your desires, your fears, and your comforts, and then to love you within that knowledge fully and without hesitation. Their gift lies in taking the ordinary and elevating it into something extraordinary. A simple dinner becomes an act of romance. A quiet night together becomes a memory of warmth and security. A kiss, lingering and unhurried, becomes a declaration that you are not just wanted, you are treasured. The sensuality of Taurus does not scream, it whispers. It whispers in the way they linger a second longer when their fingers brush against yours. It whispers in the steady way they hold your hand as though anchoring you to something unshakable. It whispers in the weight of their body pressed against yours, grounding you, calming you, reminding you that you are not floating in a fleeting fantasy but standing in a love that is solid, real, and enduring. They show you that desire doesn't have to be a blaze that burns out. It can be an ember that glows steadily, warming you again and again without ever fading. What makes them different is not extravagance but depth. Taurus does not need to overwhelm you with dramatic declarations or grand gestures of passion, though they are more than capable of offering both when inspired. Instead, they choose to show their love in consistency, in patience, in loyalty that does not waver. To be desired by them is to feel that you are not just another passing attraction but someone worth their time, their energy, and their heart. It is to feel, perhaps for the first time, that you don't have to prove yourself to be loved, you simply are, and that is enough. And yet, within this steadiness lies fire. Do not mistake Taurus's calm presence for lack of passion. When they love with the full force of earth itself, grounded, fertile, and abundant. Their desire is not scattered or restless, it is focused. They pour their energy into you, into the connection they are building, into the intimacy that grows deeper each time you're together. They do not chase 100 fleeting pleasures, they cultivate one lasting flame. And in doing so, they create something that most people spend their entire lives searching for, intimacy that is safe, enduring, and unforgettable. To be truly seen by Taurus is to feel known in both body and spirit. They notice the little things, the way your breath catches when you're nervous, the way your eyes brighten when you're happy, the way you soften under their touch. And they respond, not with judgment, but with tenderness, shaping their love around your needs in a way that feels natural, as though they have always known how to care for you. They give you the gift of being understood without having to explain, of being loved without having to ask, of being desired without ever doubting that it's real. Perhaps the greatest magic of Taurus is this: they make you feel safe enough to surrender. In a world where vulnerability often feels dangerous, Taurus creates an intimacy where it feels like the most natural thing in the world. You can let your guard down. You can stop performing. You can stop rushing. With them, you can simply be, and know that in your being, in your rawness, in your truth, you are cherished. That is the rarest intimacy of all. So if you have ever wondered what it feels like to be loved not just with passion, but with patience, not just with desire, but with devotion, not just with fire, but with roots, then Taurus might just be the sign you've been waiting for. They're the reminder that the slowest burn is the one that lasts forever, that the deepest love is the one built in layers, and that to be truly seen and desired is the greatest pleasure of all.